In my last life, I was diagnosed with a terminal illness. Liam bankrupted himself trying to save me, praying to every god he could find. It didn't matter. I still died. The moment I was reborn into a healthy body, I couldn't wait to find him. But instead, I saw him in the middle of a crowd of well-wishers, holding his assistant of many years in a tight embrace. "With you by my side," he said, "my nightmare is finally over." So he'd already started a new life, and I had been his nightmare. I chose to let him go, to let him be happy. But he was the one who backed me into a corner, step by step. His eyes were bloodshot, his voice trembling. "You're back, aren't you?" In my 5th year at the crossing, the only ones left from my cohort were me and an orange tabby cat. He had finally saved up enough points to be reunited with the owner he missed so dearly. Kitty has to send a dream first, so my silly human knows to wait for me under the golden fan tree. He licked his little chops and swallowed. "And she has to bring 5 churu sticks." I thought for a moment, "I think you mean a ginkgo tree." The cat was too lost in the joy of his impending reunion to answer me. He was busy trying to figure out the cutest pose to strike in the dream. How wonderful. I was happy for him, but also a little envious. Cats only needed half the points a human did to be reborn. After he left, I'd still have to keep going here all alone, for a long, long time. I sighed and got back to work, planning to say a proper goodbye when he returned. But when the cat came back from the dream, he was completely deflated. "The time wasn't right," he said. Then he added, "The ginkgo leaves were still green." He hung his head, staring at his worn-down paws and dull fur. In a tiny voice, he whispered, "She has a real little nugget at home now." His name was Nugget. Apparently, his owner had gotten a new cat, a fancy purebred, and gave it the same name. The little cat buried his tiny head in his front paws. He couldn't understand. How could that dummy have a new cat? I tried to comfort him. "Even if she has a new kitten, your owner must still miss you so much. She'll take you home, and things will be just like they were before." The cat didn't say anything. After a long, long time, he shook his head. "Human, Kitty's not going. Kitty will give you his points." I was shocked. How could he do that? He had held on for so long, worked so hard every day that his paws were worn to nubs, and saved every single point, all for this one day. His amber eyes blinked. "But the time isn't right anymore." He looked at me. "Your person is still waiting for you, right? That's so nice. Your person said he would only ever want you." I felt terrible for the cat. Once again, a human had betrayed his trust. And Liam, my Liam, also had someone new by his side. I stood on the edge of the crowd, watching them hold each other so tightly I felt dizzy, almost unable to stand. In my past life, as I was dying, Liam's spirit had been worn down to its breaking point. He held my hand, calmly leaned in, and gave me one last kiss. "Wait for me. I'll be right there." His tone was resolute, serene. It was obvious what he planned to do after my funeral. In a panic, I used up all the karma I had to send him a dream. In it, I gave him an earful, forbidding him from doing anything stupid and telling him to wait for me to come back. He sobbed and promised me over and over, "Okay, I'll wait for you. I'll always wait for you." That promise became the one and only thing that kept me going in the crossing. Now, I finally understood what the little cat meant by "the time isn't right." The present is not the past. While we were in the crossing, grinding away on pure willpower, time in the human world kept flowing. And that flowing time had pushed them toward new loves. I looked down and opened my hand. Liam had moved on. So what about me? What was I supposed to do? Was I supposed to rush over to him, block his path, and tell him how hard I'd worked to be reborn? Demand to know why he didn't wait? Force him to break up with his new love and get back together with me? Lost in my days, a stack of files was thrust in front of me. I need these sorted out before lunch for the afternoon meeting. I looked up and met the eyes of the assistant who'd handed them to me. His face was still flushed from his embrace with Liam, and his expression was full of the joy of making their relationship public. When I first realized I'd been reborn into the body of a White Corp employee, I was pretty happy, thinking it would be easy to find him. I never imagined that the moment I found him would also be the moment my heart broke. I knew this assistant. He'd followed Liam for years. Back when Liam cut ties with his family for me, this guy had privately sought me out, hoping I'd have the good sense to let go and not ruin Liam's future. Now he was Liam's future. His patience had truly paid off. Is there a problem? He was getting impatient. I shook my head and took the files. But as the meeting time approached, I still hadn't touched the stack of documents. I just sat at my desk in a daze, thinking about the days I was sick in my last life, about the grueling ordeal of the crossing, about the little cat with the dull look in his eyes. Loving each other but being unable to be together, versus being alive but no longer in love. Which one was more painful? I didn't know. I just felt lost, and so tired. Sean, what's your problem? You trying to get fired? A furious roar exploded next to my ear. I snapped back to reality and was met with the assistant's towering rage. The fog in my mind suddenly cleared. That's right. I could just leave. Liam had a new life. There was no point in me staying here, only more pain. I reached up to take off my ID badge, but the lanyard got caught on my collar. I fumbled with it, feeling pathetic. If you weren't going to do it, why the hell didn't you say so earlier? What are we supposed to do for the meeting now? Do you have any idea that Mr. White and the others are all waiting? Can you handle the consequences if this deal falls through? Amid the noisy chatter of the office, a low male voice cut through. Patrick, what's going on? I froze. My mind went blank. I can't believe this. Who the hell hired this guy? I told him to sort these files before lunch, and he hasn't touched them. Not a single page. Patrick couldn't help but complain. To Liam, slowly, painfully, I lifted my head. The tiny movement took all the strength I had. Liam looked mostly the same as he did 5 years ago, but his presence was completely different, sharp, imposing, with an air of authority that commanded respect without a word. His gaze was distant and indifferent as he glanced my way, like he was looking at a stranger. After a sharp stab of pain, a dense, sour ache spread through my heart, burning its way through my entire body. I wanted to run. Liam casually flipped through the documents and quickly closed the folder. Move this part of the presentation to the end of the agenda. Distribute the files and have everyone pause what they're doing to prioritize these. Have them sent to the conference room when they're done. He gave his orders calmly, his tone even. From start to finish, he didn't spare me another glance. He'd matured. He was Liam, but he was also Mr. White. My current position was several rungs below his. He didn't bother scolding me simply because I wasn't worth his time. Unworthy. The truth is, we were never a good match to begin with. He was the sole heir to the White fortune, and I was an orphan on financial aid. If I hadn't been a top student recruited on a scholarship to his private school, our paths probably never would have crossed. We were desk mates for 2 years, and his elbow never once crossed the line dividing our desks. But on the night of our high school graduation, he crossed the distance between us again and again. Liam said he'd wanted to do it for a long time. From the day I sat down next to him, he'd been holding back, waiting until graduation. He was good at holding back. Really, really good. It wasn't until our junior year of college that I learned his family had arranged for him to study abroad. But he'd refused because he didn't want to be in a long-distance relationship with me. To teach their rule-following young master a lesson, his family cut off all his credit cards. In response, Liam mortgaged the properties in his name and carved out a path for himself. Of course, he suffered a lot in silence, working day and night, drinking with clients until he was hospitalized with a bleeding stomach. We could have kept loving each other without fear. If only I hadn't gotten sick. Now he was back with his family, back to being Mr. White. A life that had gone off the rails was back on track. I was just a discordant little interlude in his brilliant life. A nightmare. As soon as Liam and Patrick left, someone from HR showed up. You seem like a pretty honest guy. How'd you manage to screw up this badly? The original Sean wasn't honest at all. He spent his days trying to figure out how to fake a workplace injury to score a huge payout from the company. He never went through with it, though. Instead, he willingly pawned the rest of his life in exchange for a better rebirth in his next one. And that's how I got a vessel to be reborn into. The process of quitting a big company is tedious. I took the offboarding checklist and went from person to person, getting signatures and returning equipment. Halfway through, my phone rang. A number flashed on the screen with no name attached. A residual memory in my body told me it was Sean's awful father. Remember to bring your ID when you come home this week. Holding the phone, I pushed open the door to the smoking lounge. Why? The person on the other end seemed surprised by my question. After a pause, his voice boomed. Didn't I tell you? For $100,000, we can get the miracle doctor to come. Your brother's illness can finally be cured. A fuzzy memory surfaced in my mind. Sean's father had been looking for help online and met someone claiming to be a miracle doctor, who casually said the illness was a minor issue that a couple of prescriptions could cure completely. He believed it and started trying to scrape together the money. When he couldn't, he told Sean to take out a loan. There was no miracle doctor, just scammers preying on the desperate. Even someone as educated and intelligent as Liam had been tricked many times. Hope would ignite, only to be extinguished, leaving him even more hopeless than before. But I knew that by then he had no other options. He had prayed to every god there was. He had to try anything that might keep me alive. You've known his condition for years. Don't you have any sense? If 2 prescriptions could cure him, what would we need hospitals for? The man on the other end was furious. Shut your mouth. If you were any use at all, your brother would have been better long ago. Oh, now I was starting to understand why Sean, who was perfectly healthy, chose to pawn the rest of his life. This body was brought into the world for one purpose, to be a blood bag for his brother. I don't know if it was lucky or unlucky, but their organs weren't a match. Since he was already born, they couldn't just stuff him back in. So he finished his compulsory education and was thrown into the workforce to fund his brother's endless search for a cure. His yelling got more vicious. Why couldn't it have been you who was dying? The near scream shot through the receiver, making my eardrum throb. I moved the phone a little further away, stunned for a moment. Then I laughed. How do you know I haven't died before? I had no family to begin with and had already died once. His guilt tripping and emotional abuse were just noise to me. I'm hanging up. Call me when it's time for the funeral. After hanging up, I quickly blocked the number. I scrolled through the contacts and started blocking all the irrelevant people one by one. The last contact was labeled brother. My finger hovered over the block button. Sean, the person who inherited your body, is a cold-blooded creature with no concept of family. Will you regret this? After a few seconds, I closed my eyes and pressed it. He'd probably feel relieved and maybe even a little envious. When I turned off the screen and looked up, I realized someone else was in the smoking lounge. Liam was standing there, a cigarette between his fingers, watching me with a blank expression. The offboarding form in my hand was crumpled into a ball. The last signature required on the form was from the CEO's office. A low-level employee like Sean didn't need to go that far. But my body moved on its own, taking 2 steps forward and holding out the pen and paper. This flimsy resignation form was now a formal application to exit Liam's life. Once he signed it, our past would be wiped clean. But Liam just glanced at it, not moving. My outstretched arm hung awkwardly in the air. After a moment, I slowly pulled it back. The atmosphere in the silent room grew thick, the oxygen thinning out. It was hard to breathe. Just when the silence became unbearable, I heard a short, contemptuous, dismissive scoff. Something inside my head snapped. An indescribable wave of emotion instantly drowned my reason. Yeah, it's hilarious, isn't it? I think it's hilarious, too. Knowing how important this meeting was, how it couldn't be delayed, yet still waiting until 2 hours before to delegate the work. And not only was it last minute, but you gave it all to a single employee. What touching risk management. An employee with such amazing professional skills. Mr. White, you have excellent taste. I couldn't control myself. The more I spoke, the more agitated I became, my rising voice trying to mask the hurt, resentment, and jealousy hidden in my trembling words. My throat felt like it was on fire, the heat spreading to my eyes. The blood in my veins was screaming. On what grounds? On what fucking grounds does Patrick get this? Liam didn't say a word the entire time. After I spat out, "You two are a perfect match. You should be chained together for life." The cold look on his face turned icy. He reached up and stubbed out his cigarette, his light brown eyes fixed on me. "Are you done?" Those three calm words crashed over my heart like thunder. My mouth was open, but I couldn't make a sound. When I first transferred to Liam's class in our sophomore year of high school, I was like prey that had wandered into a hunting ground. Some looked down on me, savoring my awkwardness and treating my discomfort as entertainment. Some treated me like air, refusing to respond to anything I said. Of course, some were willing to be friendly, like Liam. One time, after being provoked, I couldn't help but fight back, lashing out at everyone indiscriminately. After all, I was never a pushover. I was alone with no weaknesses. The worst that could happen was we'd all go down together. Arrogant, cold-blooded capitalist dogs, exploiters, bloodsuckers, wolves in sheep's clothing, parasites on society. I cursed them until their faces turned red and their veins bulged. Of course, I wasn't in great shape either. Just as the crowd was getting riled up, Liam, who had been napping at his desk, lifted his head, rubbed his temples wearily, and let out a soft tsk. "Are you done?" Everyone thought he was scolding me and started jeering, thinking I'd lost my last ally with my reckless words. But Liam ignored the chorus of gloating voices and just nodded at me, frozen in place. "Let's go, hedgehog. Time to accompany your wolf to music class." Years later, I remembered that and asked him about the nickname. By then, Liam had completely shed his sheep's clothing. He licked my soft belly and gave it a gentle bite. "You're covered in spikes, but you're soft right here." But my spikes had all been pulled out years ago, during my attempts to win his family's approval and my search for a cure. In the end, I fled the smoking lounge in a panic. I couldn't take anything with me, nothing but the faint scent of minty smoke he'd left on me. The lingering scent of smoke was gone by the third day. I rolled over in bed, staring blankly at the empty room. Before his soul departed, Sean had cleaned the house thoroughly. Clean in the Marie Kondo sense of the word. Other than big furniture like the bed and sofa, almost nothing was left. I decided to go out and buy a few things to fill the space, bit by bit, to give myself a reason to keep living. 5 years had passed since I died, but the city hadn't changed much. After wandering aimlessly for a while, I saw a pet shop. By the time I realized what I was doing, my body had already pushed the door open. As the welcome chime sounded, dozens of round, curious eyes turned to look at me. I paused, suddenly coming to my senses. What was I thinking? A regular orange tabby like Nugget wouldn't be in a pet shop. I forced a smile and was about to back out when a woman's voice behind me cut off my retreat. "Excuse me, coming through." I quickly stepped aside. A stylish woman passed by, and the air carried a familiar scent. The Proust effect says that when you smell a scent from your past, it triggers associated memories. My mind instantly flashed with images. The little gourd charm dangling from the rearview mirror, the panoramic sunroof full of stars, the cool leather seats, and Liam's hot skin. Everything floated in the car's fragrance, diluted by the evening breeze. I stared, mesmerized, at her side profile, which bore a slight resemblance to Liam's. Liam had a cousin I'd only ever seen in photos. When his family cut him off financially, she had secretly helped him out a lot. No way. Could it be this much of a coincidence? The store clerk greeted her with a bright smile. "Nugget's almost done being blow-dried. Just another 2 minutes." Nugget. I was frozen to the spot. The clerk noticed me by the door. "Sir, are you looking to pick out a pet?" The woman followed his gaze and looked over at me. Seeing her face on, I was certain. It was Liam's cousin. But that fact didn't matter to me anymore. I just had to confirm one thing. "Did you ever find a cat under a ginkgo tree?" The faint smile on her lips froze. She looked me up and down. "Do I know you?" "Did you or didn't you?" "I did. But that was years ago." "How did you know?" There was no way to explain. How could I tell her that the cat had told me every little detail about them, over and over again? A meow came from the top of the stairs. The woman's gaze quickly shifted from me, a smile blooming on her face again. Baby, mommy's here to take you home. She carefully took the cat carrier. Through the acrylic panel, I saw a flash of bright golden orange. That brightness stung my eyes. So clean, so beautiful. But all I could picture was dull fur and dull eyes. I heard real gold is supposed to be shiny, but I'm not. I can't be a real nugget. The gray, dusty cat never lifted his head, not even at the very end. Swept up in a sudden wave of emotion, I grabbed her wrist. Do you have any idea that he could have come home too? Huh? What are you talking about? She looked completely bewildered and tried to pull her arm away. When she couldn't, her expression turned cold. Let go of me. Why move on to someone new? Didn't you say he was irreplaceable, the one and only nugget in the world? Do you have any idea how hard he worked to see you again? His fur got matted, his paws are worn down, and a can of food costs just 1 point, but he wouldn't even spend that 1 point. Emotions churned in my chest like lava, burning everything in their path, desperately seeking an escape. I couldn't even tell who I was fighting for anymore. Hey, why aren't you talking? Answer me. You said you'd only ever want me, but your forever couldn't even last 5 years. The woman was completely stunned by my yelling, her face a mask of disbelief. The clerk was trying to mediate, the cats around us were meowing, and the overhead lights were blindingly white. My head was ringing. What was I doing? She opened her mouth, her voice hesitant and quiet. I'm sorry, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you please calm down first? That familiar fragrance suddenly grew stronger. It wafted into my nose, wrapping around every nerve. My focus blurred. A hand shot into my field of vision. Before I could react, my elbow was seized and twisted forcefully behind my back. I lost my balance and was slammed to the ground in an instant. My chin hit the floor, not too hard, but my already muddled brain spun even more. The woman's startled cry sounded distant. Bro, you scared me. Bro. I struggled to process the word. What did he do to you? Liam's voice rang out. I jolted, suddenly wide awake. The churning lava receded, and my boiling blood began to cool. He didn't do anything to me. Let him go. You're scaring Nugget. Are you sure? I saw him harassing you. Yes, I'm sure. I think he just mistook me for someone else. Although I couldn't see him, I could feel his gaze still locked on my back, as if he was trying to see right through me. After a long moment, the pressure on me was suddenly released. I heard the rustle of clothes behind me as Liam stood up. I stayed on the floor for a while before I could gather my strength and slowly push myself up. Liam's gaze fell on my face and suddenly froze. The next second, his eyes darkened. Go wait in the car. Huh? There's no need, bro. He really didn't do anything to me. Go wait in the car, he repeated coldly, staring at me. The woman looked at me, then back at Liam. Finally, she relented and walked out the door. I watched her get into a black car, not the silver gray one. So Liam got a new car. Makes sense. A new person, a new life. The old car, so full of old memories, should have been scrapped. But why didn't he get rid of the custom fragrance we had made together? Did we order too much back then, and he couldn't use it all up? Still looking? I pulled my gaze back and stared at our shoes, facing each other. I knew that if I looked up right now, all I would see was utter disgust. If you're unhappy with the company, you can go through the proper channels. If you're unhappy with me, you can come after me directly. But if I find out you have any funny ideas about her, he suddenly reached out, his hand clamping around my chin, forcing me to look up. I will end you. He enunciated each word, his deliberately low voice not diminishing its intimidating force one bit. This was the first time we had been this close since my rebirth. In the past, when we were this close, the next step would have been a kiss or a hug. But now, do you hear me? His grip tightened, pressing on my throat until it made a cracking sound. He was furious. Liam rarely got angry. In all the time we were together, I had only seen it twice. Once was when someone got me drunk at a business dinner and tried to drag me into a hotel room. The other was after I got sick, when his family took the opportunity to switch my medication, causing my condition to worsen drastically. But what did it matter if he had been angry, if he had wanted to kill someone? Time washes everything away. It only proved that he had a fierce, protective instinct for the people he cherished. He was a good person who valued his relationships. I hear you. I managed to force a smile, my voice strained. I won't appear in front of you again. Is that okay? His brow furrowed. He let go of me and shoved me backward. My back hit a shelf. I stumbled but managed to stay on my feet, still smiling. But as I smiled, tears started to fall. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry for being your nightmare for so long, for selfishly asking you to wait, for getting jealous and talking bad about your new love to your face. I'm sorry for naively thinking that as long as I came back, all the pain and loneliness you endured for years would be wiped clean. I hastily wiped away the tears. The muscles in the lower half of my face were stiff, and the smile I was forcing wouldn't go away. I must have looked uglier than if I were crying. Liam's expression flickered with something strange for a moment. What's your name? My name. It had been locked away for so long that even I found it unfamiliar. It had gone from being the shortest spell in the world to 2 words carved in clerical script on a tombstone. Cold, slowly fading. It no longer held any power to bind or connect to any living, breathing emotion. When I opened my mouth, the name rose to my lips several times, but I bit my lip and forced it back down. I struggled to steady my breathing and forced another stiff smile. What? I cry a little and Mr. White's heart softens. He flinched, and his face completely darkened. You'd better keep your word. Liam had been gone for a long time, but I was still standing there, motionless. The clerk glanced at me and cautiously asked, Sir, is there anything else you need? Remembering my outburst, my cheeks flushed. So on my way home, I was carrying a discarded sunflower painting in my left hand and a bag of cat food in my right. After cleaning the painting, I carried it around the empty apartment a couple of times before finally hanging it on the wall opposite my bed. The splash of color on the plain white wall brightened up the whole room. I opened the cat food, poured some into a bowl, and placed it in front of the sunflowers. The moment I did, I felt a little ridiculous. Nugget probably wouldn't be a cat in his next life. What would he become? It would be nice if we could meet again. With only the cat food for company, I lay in bed for another 2 days, until a rapid series of rings from the doorbell broke the silence. Through the peephole, I saw a man I didn't recognize, furiously mashing the button. He was in a suit, but he had the distinct air of a punk. Sean must have known him because my body instinctively shivered. Unfortunately, the longer I was in this body, the fainter his residual memories became. I couldn't figure out their relationship. The man started pounding on the door impatiently. Sean, I know you're in there. This old building, built in the 90s, had terrible soundproofing. The original tenants had moved out, and now most of the neighbors were blue-collar workers with reversed sleep schedules. Worried he would disturb them and cause trouble, I quickly opened the door. The moment I pulled it open a crack, it was violently pushed in. The man squeezed inside and slammed me against the wall. It all happened too fast for me to even think about fighting back. Getting bold? Are we? You dare to block me? The impact left me dazed. I instinctively pushed against his chest. Let's talk this out. Don't get physical. He paused, a smirk playing on his lips. Oh, you're mad? So I missed your birthday. I had my secretary send you a gift. Didn't you get it? As he spoke, he glanced around the room, and his smile slowly froze. He saw no gifts, just an empty room. The hand holding me loosened. The man took a couple of steps inside, looking around in disbelief. Are you moving out? I straightened my messy collar. No. Where's all the stuff? The things I gave you. I looked up and met his stunned, bewildered gaze. A sharp pain shot through my heart, inexplicably. It wasn't my reaction. It was Sean's. Threw it out, I answered for Sean. Threw it out. The man's voice shot up. He looked furious, pacing back and forth frantically, opening every cabinet and pulling out every drawer. What gives you the right to throw it out? The things I gave you, what gives you the right to throw them away? He slammed the cabinet doors, the sound echoing through the room. I rubbed my temples, feeling helpless. Why can't I throw them out? Hearing this, the man strode over to me, grabbed me again, and glared. Sean, what the hell is your problem? My windpipe was crushed, and I couldn't breathe. I struggled to break free, growing frustrated. I thought he had decluttered to keep his father and brother from taking advantage of him, but now it seemed this self-important man had something to do with it too. I'm not having a problem, I managed to squeeze out. Sean isn't having a problem. He had no power to have a problem. He was calm and utterly hopeless. The man let go of me. For some reason, a look of helplessness crossed his face.
Sean.
You're not mad that I went on that blind date, are you? I was just humoring my old man. I never planned on actually dating her. He scratched his cheek, glanced at me quickly and stammered, and even if I did, what's there for you to be mad about? Unless you Lee, he cut himself off. As if he was afraid of the answer, he quickly changed the subject. Whatever. Come have dinner with me first. He grabbed my arm and started pulling me out the door. You haven't been answering my calls these past few days. I've completely lost my appetite. As he dragged me to his car, a name popped into my head. Wyatt. He opened the car door and started pushing me inside. What? Trying to refuse? You owe me. You have to come, no matter how mad you are. So it was him, the rich playboy heir. His contact name in the phone was Creditor. I thought he was one of Sean's father's people and blocked him without a second thought. The streetlights blurred past the window. Fragments of memory slowly pieced themselves together. The next intersection was where Sean and Wyatt had met. Sean, who was delivering food part-time, had accidentally scraped Wyatt's luxury car. It was like the beginning of an old-school rom-com. While waiting for the police, Sean picked up the spilled food from beside his overturned scooter, calmly contacted the customer, and then sat down on the curb and started eating as if no one else was there. Wyatt walked over and gently kicked the toe of his shoe. Hey, guilty party. You seem to be enjoying that. He paused, then took a strange turn. Give me a bite. It was like the middle of an old-school rom-com. The rest of the memory was a blur. The tall buildings and neon lights were fading into the distance. Sean had extinguished his own light. It was not the ending of an old-school rom-com. Sean is dead, I said. Wyatt didn't hear me clearly. He had just finished cursing out a pedestrian who ignored the traffic light. He turned to me. Did you say something? The light turned green, but the words were stuck in my throat. I couldn't say them a second time. Wyatt took me to a members-only restaurant. The moment we walked in, I remembered that Liam used to be a regular here. Back then, to avoid his family's prying and interference, he had even used my name for the membership. He expertly placed our order and handed the tablet back to the waiter. But halfway there, his hand changed direction and pinched my cheek. I was just thinking, I haven't seen you in a few days. How did you get so thin? I turned my head away, breaking free from the sudden and strange intimacy. To be honest, I didn't need to play along with him. My rebirth was earned by me and Nugget together. I had the right to choose how to live, and Sean's life was over. His past had nothing to do with me. But as I felt the memories and instincts in this body gradually fading, I suddenly realized that I would probably be the last person in the world to carry any trace of his existence. This body was a new beginning for me. For Sean, it was a living tombstone. At the very least, I needed to know what to write on the epitaph. What? Still mad? He persisted, forcefully turning my face back and cupping it in his hands to make me look at him. So I missed one little appointment. I swear I'll be there for all your birthdays from now on. Okay? I shot back. How will you be there for me? Wyatt froze. From his expression, he probably hadn't given it much thought. I'll have dinner with you, make a wish with you, watch you open presents. Ugh. Seriously, you little broke-ass perpetrator. I'm not even holding you responsible, and you're the one giving me a hard time. He rubbed my cheeks. Honestly, have you not been eating properly lately? Or is work too busy? That crappy job at White Corp pays peanuts. You should just quit. The dishes started arriving one by one. Wyatt let go of me and put a piece of meat in my bowl. I picked up my chopsticks and tapped the gold leaf on top of the meat. Quit and then what? Starve. Come with me. You think I'd let you starve? With you? In what capacity? Wyatt suddenly got flustered, the playful arrogance wiped from his face. With me means, be my dinner companion. I really like eating with you. I'll pay you a normal salary. And what happens when you don't like it anymore? He put another piece of meat in my bowl and a crab leg. What's with all the questions? Just eat quietly. I opened my mouth again, but Wyatt didn't give me a chance to continue. He put down his chopsticks, picked up his phone and feigned surprise. Whoa, my family's business partner is here. I have to go say hi. You go ahead and eat. All the food was served. The food got cold. Wyatt never came back. I unblocked him from my phone, then hung up the moment the call started to dial. Forget it. For a moment, I couldn't tell if those words were mine or Sean's sigh. I sat for a little longer, then called the waiter over. Normally, I should just leave and send the bill to Wyatt. But since I was the only one who ate, it felt a bit dishonest. After seeing the bill, my scalp tingled. I regretted it instantly. A sense of morality doesn't pay the bills. I checked every one of my accounts. Sean was completely broke. The waiter saw my predicament and kindly asked, "Should we just put it on Mr. Wyatt's tab?" I turned off my phone and bit my lip. No, use another member's account. To my surprise, the old account was still active. I subconsciously asked, "Is this account still in use?" "Yes, it is," the waiter confirmed. "The last transaction was just 10 minutes ago." Huh? I was stunned. "Your password is correct, so I'll go ahead and settle the bill for you." Wait. By the time I snapped out of it and tried to stop him, it was too late. I thought he would have closed the account or completely forgotten about it, and I could use the remaining balance to get out of this awkward situation. But I never expected him to still be using it. Was it just a habit he was too lazy to change? Or did he deposit too much money back then and never finished using it? 10 minutes ago. That meant if I left now, I might run into him. And I had just promised I wouldn't appear in front of him again. "Could you, pack this up for me?" The request was so unusual here that the waiter was gone for a long time before he finally found me some to-go containers. Perfect. I wanted to stall for time anyway. Carrying the containers, I went downstairs and opened my phone to check the route home. The signal in the elevator was weak. After a long wait, the map finally loaded, just as the doors opened. "You're done eating?" I looked up. It was Wyatt. He glanced at the large bag I was carrying. "You didn't save me a single bite." I really hadn't. I'd even taken the decorative carrot carvings. I clutched my palm. "It's not on your dime. This isn't about money." "Wait, where did you get the money?" I mumbled something and started to walk away. He immediately followed, looking aggressive. "So you blocked me and threw out my stuff because you found someone else?" "Found someone else?" I stopped. "Was that the kind of relationship we had?" He choked, his face instantly turning red. What are you talking about? We weren't that sleazy. Besides, I'd have to be pretty desperate to sponsor you instead of some beautiful woman." His gaze drifted over me, his voice softening. A skinny, scrawny man. I stared at him for a moment, then nodded. Seeing me walk away without looking back, Wyatt hurried to catch up. "Is there something else? This pulling and grabbing is really annoying. I haven't eaten yet. Have a little more with me." I shoved the food containers into his arms. "Here, a gift. Go eat. This skinny, scrawny man is going home." He held the large bag, his expression hesitant and lost. "Are you mad again?" I couldn't be bothered with him. I lit up my phone, spun around to get my bearings, and started walking. Before I had taken 2 steps, Wyatt blocked me again. "Stop walking. So far, I'll give you a ride." Without another word, he grabbed my hand and started pulling me toward the parking lot. His tall back radiated impatience, as if he was afraid I would run away. I sighed. After this brief interaction, I could pretty much see through Wyatt. A rich, pretty boy who did whatever he wanted because of his family's wealth. A proud, tight-lipped guy who never said what he meant. Closeted homophobe who would only ever disappoint Sean. "How much do I owe you? Why don't I write you an IOU? Give me your bank account number, and I'll pay you in installments. After that, let's just not see each other again." He stopped abruptly. "Why?" Before I could answer, he shouted, "I don't agree." The shout was so loud it echoed. I instinctively glanced around. Lower your VO, my eyes widened. About 30 feet away, Liam's car was parked. The lights were on. Someone was inside. I quickly turned my head and hurried to Wyatt's car. Fine, you don't agree, whatever. Just open the door. What's the rush all of a sudden? Wyatt got into the car, his expression sour. He didn't start the engine, just squinted in Liam's direction. Did you see someone? Your new boyfriend?
Ex-girlfriend?
Or ex-boyfriend? Why is he so sharp all of a sudden? I couldn't help but urge him on. No one. Let's just go. Wyatt slowly started the car. The engine roared, but he didn't step on the gas. I bowed my head, praying Liam hadn't seen me. The pain of the tubes all over my body when I was sick was nothing compared to the pain of him looking at me with disgust. Isn't that the White family's eldest son's car? My mind froze. I reflexively turned my head and saw a flash of black pass by the car window. Was he the one you saw just now? A smirk played on Wyatt's lips, but there was no laughter in his eyes. Oh, you're scared Liam will see you with me. Guilty conscience? No, I denied flatly. Just a humble employee afraid of his boss. Boss? Or more like a sugar daddy. Sean, do you know, you're really becoming a stranger to me. With a sudden, jarring acceleration, my back was pinned to the seat. A bad feeling crept over me. Sure enough, Wyatt started speeding up, chasing after Liam's car. Panicked. What are you doing? You're speeding. Wyatt ignored me. As we got closer and closer to Liam's car, I gritted my teeth and softened my tone. Wyatt, aren't you taking me home? We're going the wrong way. Can we turn around? I'll go home and have dinner with you. The moment I softened my tone, his expression hardened. He gripped the steering wheel, his knuckles turning white. So now you're begging? The first time you've been nice to me all day, and it's for another man. He said it through clenched teeth. I didn't dare say another word, just clutched the seatbelt across my chest. At a red light, the two cars stopped side by side. Wyatt rolled down his window, one hand on the steering wheel, the other casually resting on the car door. Well, what a coincidence. Mr. White waiting at a red light, too. Don't engage. Unfortunately, the gods didn't hear my prayer. Patrick's voice, respectful and polite, came from the other car. Mr. Wyatt, what a coincidence. TSK, who's talking to you? Move aside. Where's your Mr. White? The person on the other side was silent for a couple of seconds after being rebuffed, but maintained his politeness. Mr. White has had too much to drink. If you have something to discuss, you can tell me. But this isn't the place for business. If it's convenient, we can schedule a time. You hear that? Wyatt turned his head and said sarcastically, he's had too much to drink. Does your heart ache for him? Don't say things like that. I'm begging you. I pressed myself against the back of the seat, trying to hide in the corner. But Patrick's sharp eyes still spotted me. The frustration he'd bottled up from Wyatt suddenly found an outlet.
Sean?
His voice was shrill. It really is you. I was wondering why you suddenly started slacking off at work, and why you weren't panicked about being fired. Turns out, he drew out the last word. You've latched onto someone with money. How impressive. I took a deep breath and was about to retort when my eyes met Liam's. I was instantly speechless. He was leaning against the headrest, his brow heavy with exhaustion. His light-colored eyes were utterly indifferent. My fingers curled involuntarily. I was the first to look away, lowering my head. Wyatt rolled up the window, his expression tense. You were fired. Yeah. When? A few days ago. Why didn't you tell me? It wasn't necessary. Wyatt pursed his lips. I mumbled, you should clarify that we're not in that kind of relationship. After all, that was his biggest taboo. He was terrified of people knowing he was close with another man. The red light started counting down, but Wyatt remained silent. His index finger tapped rhythmically on the steering wheel. I couldn't tell what he was thinking. Wyatt, did you hear me? He stared at the changing numbers. The moment the light turned green, he suddenly rolled down the window again, leaned out and said playfully, Liam, you've been single all these years, but your standards have really dropped. You'll bring just anyone along with you. You're not picky at all." With that, to my and Patrick's astonishment, he slammed on the gas and made a sharp U-turn. Wyatt didn't say another word until we were parked in front of my building. I unbuckled my seatbelt. After some hesitation, I finally spoke. "Actually, they're a couple. They made it official at the office." Remembering that day, my heart still ached. "I know." He shrugged nonchalantly. "His dad ended up in the hospital the same day, and he's still not out." I was stunned for a moment. "Oh, I see." So Liam's family still hadn't accepted that he liked men. So he had obediently returned to the family, but he hadn't obediently accepted their arrangements for his marriage. That sounded just like Liam. He used to be like that too, fighting his whole family to be with me. Oh, to be more precise, it wasn't for me. It was for the person he loved. Back then, he loved me. Now he loves Patrick. What you said back there wasn't really appropriate. Maybe you should go apologize. You don't want it to affect your family's business. It's fine. He's not the only one in our circle who's been openly hostile to his little boyfriend. I've never seen him defend him once. But let's not talk about that. Wyatt turned to face me, looking at me seriously. "Sean, I need to ask you something, and I need you to answer me honestly." It was the first time I'd seen him so nervous. I nodded. "Go ahead. You were slacking off at work, you blocked me, you threw out all your furniture, and you were even willing to spend that much money to pay the bill just now. Is it because," he carefully chose his words, "is it because you're thinking of doing something stupid?" The atmosphere in the small car grew heavy. I turned my head and said nothing. Too late. Getting no response, Wyatt's breathing became ragged. He leaned in, frantically grabbing at my hands. "Don't do anything stupid. You hear me? Whatever problems you have, you still have me. It's not easy being born human. You should enjoy life. A few bumps in the road are no reason to give up." As he spoke, he forcibly grabbed my wrist, unlocked his phone, and started transferring money to me, one transaction after another. Each one hit the transfer limit. "I didn't transfer you money before, not because I didn't want to, but because I was afraid it would change our relationship." I could feel his body temperature rising through the skin of my wrist. "So has it changed now?" I asked. His finger, which had been tapping 0, stopped. 2 seconds later, he let go of me and sat back in the driver's seat. "This should be enough, right? If not, let me know." I looked at my balance and gave a bitter laugh. It was enough for Sean's dad to hire 20 miracle doctors. Enough for Sean to live a normal life. It really was too late. I still spent my days lying in bed. Those 5 years in the crossing, working day and night, had nearly depleted all my mental energy and motivation. After witnessing Liam embracing Patrick, the last pillar of belief that had supported me crumbled. I needed time to recover, but I didn't know how long it would take. On days when the sunset was particularly beautiful, I would go out and rummage for little trinkets to decorate my home. Almost every time I would run into Wyatt. The idle, dissolute playboy showed up like he was clocking in for work, only leaving after confirming I had turned off my lights and gone to bed. I assured him countless times that I wasn't going to harm myself, but he continued to do as he pleased. One day, I unintentionally wandered to the front of my old high school. The dessert shop by the school gate was still open, its decor unchanged. Back then, after school, Liam would always insist on finishing 2 practice tests with me here before he was willing to go home. In spring and autumn, we'd have licorice-dusted fruit in summer, shaved ice with fruit juice in winter, sweet tapioca soup. Unfortunately, the owner told me they had just sold the last bowl of sweet tapioca soup. I sat for a while at our usual spot, then got an order of sweet potato soup and some braised snacks to go. I knocked on Wyatt's car window. "Want to come up and eat?" There was no dining table in my apartment, so Wyatt copied me, sitting cross-legged on the floor, eating with gusto. His rich boy temper was a very elastic thing, sometimes there, sometimes not. "You should stop coming here so often. Don't you have a company to run?" Wyatt was unfazed. "If I have to personally go to work to run a company, what did I hire all those people for?" A truly shocking statement. Anyway, me eating and drinking with you every day is still better than some people who work hard for nothing. After saying that, he gave me a meaningful look and stopped talking. as if he was waiting for me to ask for more details. I couldn't be bothered and stuffed a piece of sweet potato in my mouth. Wyatt couldn't hold back and continued. After Liam pissed off his dad and sent him to the hospital, he made a series of basic-level mistakes in his decisions. The White family is in total chaos. I slowly chewed and swallowed, then scooped up another piece. Wyatt also started gnawing on the braised snacks on his own. After a long time, and then Wyatt gave me a C, I knew you cared look and raised an eyebrow. Satisfying, isn't it? What's it to me? Don't you working-class folks love to watch your former employers go down in flames? He hesitated, muttering, crap. Did Danny lie to me? Danny was his assistant. When Wyatt was occasionally absent, Danny would keep an eye on me. The moment he saw me, he'd launch into a stream of cheesy, life is beautiful platitudes like an NPC with a triggered quest line. I tightened my grip on the spoon, poking at the sweet potato. Is it that serious? It's a chronic, deep-seated problem. I think it's a long shot. The seeds of this disaster were planted the moment he returned to the White family. It's too late to salvage things now. I didn't really believe Liam would make such a major mistake, but Wyatt probably wasn't lying to me either. He tossed aside a bone he'd finished and wiped his hands. This is delicious. Let me treat you back. There's a banquet the day after tomorrow. Wanna come with me? A banquet? My eyes widened in surprise. I'm a guy, so I can't be your date, right? You're my +1. It was hard to reconcile the Wyatt of now with the guy who, not long ago, was calling me skinny and scrawny and acting like a total homophobe. It felt like something was heading in a direction it shouldn't. I wanted to refuse, but I was in a difficult position. How was I supposed to handle his relationship with Sean? If you don't say anything, I'll take that as a yes. He narrowed his eyes, his gaze sweeping over me from top to bottom. Should I get your measurements? Or should I take them for you? I tossed and turned all night, unable to sleep. Just as dawn was breaking and sleepiness finally washed over me, my phone suddenly vibrated. Change jobs? Don't think I can't find you. The light from the phone screen was blinding, and I was instantly wide awake. It was an unknown number. I copied it into my contacts, but no one came up. But I knew exactly who it was. They had actually gone to my old company. It seemed Sean had been smart enough not to tell them his address, but it was only a matter of time before they found me. I knew blocking them was just a temporary solution. These parasitic family members would never stop until they had squeezed every last drop out of a person. When morning came, I called Wyatt. Moving? He arrived quickly, his hair a mess from sleep, not even having had time to comb it. The lease on this apartment was up in 2 months. I didn't plan on subletting it, I'd just leave it as a decoy. I needed a new place and a new number, registered under someone else's name. Wyatt didn't ask many questions and had Danny start making the arrangements. I snapped my old SIM card in half and threw it in the trash. The first contact on my new number was Wyatt. He was beaming as he added AAA in front of his name. When he saw me staring, he quickly composed himself, cleared his throat, and handed the phone back to me. There. Now you can add your family. I took the phone, turned off the screen, and put it in my pocket. Who do you think I'm hiding from? You're hiding from your family? Why, he looked both confused and shocked. Did you have another fight? Another? I frowned. Did I ever tell you about my family? You mentioned it once or twice, you forgot? I get it, you're embarrassed and don't want to talk about it. But you can't control your family's financial situation. At least you have both your parents and a brother. You're luckier than a lot of kids. You should be grateful. Lucky. Grateful. He didn't know anything. Hadn't Sean ever asked him for help? Or had he asked only to be ignored? I took a deep breath. They're the source of Sean's misfortune. Don't be childish. They'll be worried if they can't reach you. They'll definitely be worried. Worried they can't find their cash cow, their scapegoat. Wyatt clearly hadn't expected me to say that. It was beyond his understanding. He was at a loss for words, his expression turning serious. He wanted to reason with me, but the reasoning of someone who has never known hardship is always weightless, never touching the ground. What kind of parents don't love their own child? He said it with righteous indignation. I remember your brother is sick. How can you abandon him at a time like this? If you're having trouble, I'll help you. You're not alone. He tried to coax me, but I remained silent, unmoved. Wyatt probably thought I was being completely unreasonable, and he suddenly got angry. Sean, you're becoming less and less like yourself. How am I not like myself? What's changed? You used to be so optimistic, so gentle. You always smiled at me. You never would have talked to me like this. I nodded. And now? You're emotionally unstable, always angry. He seemed to have found an outlet, speaking faster and faster. Cold, sarcastic, heartless. I listened calmly the whole time, not refuting a single word. Only when his voice faded to a mumble did I interrupt him. Wyatt, you have feelings for Sean, don't you? He froze, as if someone had grabbed him by the throat. Even the faint murmur of his voice stopped, still unwilling to admit it. Unwilling to admit he had feelings for a man? Or unwilling to admit he had feelings for a man from a different social class? As Wyatt rattled off my flaws, this body showed no reaction at all. Sean was completely gone. I didn't press him. I just smiled at him. Thank you for all your help. After the banquet, I'll tell you why. Since Danny probably wasn't there, I was treated as Wyatt's assistant. There were no strange looks at the banquet, which was a relief. I don't like drinking, so Wyatt did most of it. After a few rounds of greetings, I could clearly see his steps becoming unsteady. Are you okay? He mumbled a response. There's hangover soup in the car. There was more than just hangover soup in the car. The moment I opened the door, I was hit by the strong scent of flowers. A thought flickered in my mind. I walked around to the back of the car and opened the trunk. Sure enough, it was packed with fresh flowers. I had expected it, but I was still surprised. He was planning to turn my confession into his own, and he was going to use such a cliché method. What a pain. It would be cruel to tell him the truth in a situation like this. I closed my eyes and shut the trunk. Pretending I hadn't seen anything, I took the hangover soup from the cooler and went upstairs. When I pushed open the door to the lounge, the strong smell of alcohol hit me. I instinctively frowned. How long was I gone? How much did you drink? The room was dark. Just as I reached for the light switch, a low voice came from the sofa. Don't turn on the light. My hand froze. I was in the wrong room. That wasn't Wyatt. It was. I held my breath and slowly approached. My heart was pounding so hard it felt like it was going to leap out of my chest. In the dim light filtering through the window on the door, I could see the man lying on the sofa. His eyes were closed, his brow furrowed, his face a mixture of fatigue and discomfort. Liam had damaged his stomach from drinking during his startup days. After I chewed him out, he had been very careful not to overdo it. How much had he drunk to smell this strongly of alcohol? Was it because of the crisis at White Corp? Had it really pushed him this far? I couldn't stop myself from reaching out, wanting to smooth the lines between his brows like I used to. He wasn't conscious right now. No one else was here. No one would know. Let me take advantage of the situation just this once. Just this one time. Before I could touch him, Liam suddenly moved. My hand froze mid-air, hitting an invisible wall, unable to move another inch. I almost made a mistake. No matter how much I loved him, how much I couldn't let go. He was someone else's boyfriend now. What was I doing? I gritted my teeth and forced myself to turn around. I had only taken one step when I heard a very soft groan from behind me, as if it had rumbled in his throat but been suppressed. I stood there for a long time, then suddenly realized he had said a name. Stella. My mind exploded. The blood in my veins froze. My body and soul trembled in unison. He was calling for me. Liam was still not fully conscious. I knelt by the sofa, holding my breath, and waited for a long time. He didn't make another sound. His breathing grew deep and even. It seemed he had fallen asleep. I touched my chest. The pounding slowly subsided, leaving a bitter aftertaste. What am I thinking? I must have misheard. My gaze traced the lines of his eyebrows, his eyes, his high-bridged nose. His tie seemed too tight, looking uncomfortably constricting. I reached out again, this time moving quickly, afraid I would regret it. Before my conscience could kick in, I loosened his tie and undid the top button of his shirt. My index finger inevitably brushed against his skin. His body temperature was high from the alcohol, and the heat traveled up my nerves to my face, making it flush. I pulled my hand back. After a moment of internal struggle, I gently touched my fingertips to my own lips. Slowly, I caressed them. The room was silent. My phone suddenly vibrated, the sound shockingly loud. I quickly switched it to vibrate and dimmed the screen to its lowest setting. But even my quick movements disturbed Liam. He frowned and mumbled a sharp command. "Get out." He had been so commanding in the pet shop, but now he was clearly weak. I had seen him at his most vulnerable. Clothes disheveled, a gray stubble on his chin, kneeling by my hospital bed, sobbing, begging me not to go, not to leave him alone. Two voices started arguing in my head. The hangover soup in my arms was still warm. Wyatt was waiting for it. Don't leave him alone. The lounge was a public space. Someone might come in soon. Don't leave him alone. Liam was in a relationship. He hated the person I was now. Don't leave him alone. I closed my eyes, took a deep breath, made a quick decision, and sent a text to Danny before pocketing my phone. "Mr. White," I said in a low, gentle voice, "your hangover soup is here. Let me help you up." Liam's thick eyelashes fluttered, and he slowly opened his eyes. His gaze was hazy and unfocused. He clearly hadn't woken from his drunken stupor. "I didn't order any." "I know." I twisted open the lid of the soup container. "Mr. Patrick ordered it for you." For some reason, this bitter lie seemed to provoke a rebellious streak in Liam. He waved his hand dismissively. "Tell him to get lost." The hot soup spilled. I didn't know what had happened between him and Patrick, but I quickly corrected myself. "I'm sorry, I misspoke. I ordered it." He quieted down, his beautiful, dazed eyes looking at me. "Who are you?" I took the opportunity to help him up, sitting behind him and wrapping my arms around his back to support him. "I'll tell you after you drink this."
Ide furguten a spoon.
I cupped one hand under his chin, held the container with the other, and took a couple of sips myself. The temperature was just right, not too sweet, not too bitter. I brought it to Liam's lips, and he drank it obediently. I felt a sense of relief and habitually used the back of my hand to wipe away the soup that had dribbled down his chin. Felt so natural, just like so many nights before. He would get drunk, I would take care of him, and then scold him when he woke up. If only the hangover soup would never run out. If only no one would ever disturb us here. My nerves were numbed by the long-forgotten closeness. So when my wrist was suddenly gripped with force, I couldn't react at all. Before I knew it, the world was spinning. The soup container clattered onto the thick carpet and rolled to a stop in a corner. The room fell completely silent, except for the sound of our two overlapping, ragged breaths. He was always wary of strangers. I should have seen this coming. My hands were pinned above my head. The leather of the sofa behind me was still warm from where Liam had been lying. It was hot. The body pressed on top of me was even hotter. I was sure my face was hidden in the shadows, that he couldn't see me clearly. But I was still so tense my whole body was rigid. "Who sent you?" I froze. His first reaction was to think someone was trying to harm him. When I didn't answer, Liam moved closer. "What did you give me to drink?" Hangover soup." "You really think I'm drunk?" He let out a cold laugh. "You failed last time and you're trying the same trick again." His earlier compliance was fake. He hadn't drunk it. Someone had drugged him before. What had he been through all these years? My phone suddenly vibrated. The buzz wasn't loud, but in this quiet space, it was impossible to ignore. "Your employer?" He kept one hand on my wrists and reached for my pants pocket with the other. So eager to confirm the results. This new number only had two contacts, Wyatt and, later, Danny. No matter who it was, they shouldn't be dragged into this. I struggled desperately. No one hired me. I'm just a server. My struggles were futile. He forcefully reached into my pocket, his bony knuckles brushing against my groin, sending a jolt of pleasure through me. It was a tingling that went straight to my bones. How strange. Why was I getting hotter? It wasn't Liam's body heat. It was mine. He held the phone in front of my face and commanded coldly, "Unlock it." I squeezed my eyes shut. Liam tried twice, then probably realized what was happening. He released his grip and instead pinched my chin. "Open your eyes." I clenched my jaw and didn't move. A hot breath washed over my face, and he laughed. "Playing a waiting game with me, are we? Fine. Let's see if you can keep your eyes closed for the rest of your life." In this tense situation, I had a very inappropriate thought, remembering the last days of my previous life. Knowing my time was short, I decided to try and desensitize Liam to my death. I would secretly unplug the heart monitor, close my eyes, hold my breath, and tense my whole body. Then, just as he was frantically checking for my breath and screaming for a doctor, I would pop my eyes open and laugh. Haha, just kidding. I played dead several times and he fell for it every time. Once, I took it too far and didn't open my eyes until the doctors arrived. Liam buried his head in my shoulder, his tears soaking into my empty hospital gown. "Don't do this, Stella. I fall for it every time, but can you swear that you'll always be kidding?" I couldn't swear. We both knew that the final time was coming, and Liam wouldn't get to hear those words. Liam could never be desensitized. I opened my eyes and met his gaze. My voice was soft. "I don't have that in me, Mr. White." The alcohol must have dulled his reaction. He stared at me for a long time. By the time the unlocked phone screen went dark again, he finally snapped back to reality. The screen lit up again, the harsh white light illuminating his face, making his sharp features look even colder. The phone had been wiped, so there was little to see. He quickly tossed the phone back to me. I picked it up and saw Wyatt's messages. "Dude, why aren't you answering your phone? Where did you go with the hangover soup? You didn't drink it, did you? Did you? Reply to my message." That little bastard Danny said he couldn't stand it anymore and wanted to give me a push. So he put something in it. My head was spinning. The words swam in front of my eyes, and I couldn't focus. So it really was drugged. How much did I drink? My brain was struggling to work. 2 sips. Right, only 2 sips. Probably wasn't a big deal. So this was for Wyatt. Yes, I went to the wrong room. Liam looked down at me. "You went to the wrong room, but you also got the name wrong." Name. I had called him Mr. White. There was no denying it. I didn't get it wrong. I bit my lip, trying to suppress the waves of heat rising in my body. "You were much drunker and you were alone, so I just wanted to help." "Just help," he repeated. "I'm sorry." "Sorry again? What for this time?" My rationality was being washed away by the heat. An embarrassing reaction was happening in an embarrassing place. I froze for a few seconds, my face burning with shame. "Mr. White, could you please let me go first?" "Let you go? And then what, go find Wyatt?" An image of a trunk full of flowers and a luxury gift box on the passenger seat flashed through my mind. I shook my head. I'm not going to his place. One person's rationality was being consumed by desire. The other had just come to terms with his feelings. If we got together, something irreversible might happen. "Then where are you going?" The sharp, aggressive aura around Liam had disappeared, replaced by a familiar yet strange sense of pressure. In the dim light, he stared at me like a wolf watching its prey. "To the hospital. Or home." My mouth started to water. I swallowed again and again, knowing I couldn't stay like this any longer. My body was losing control. "Mr. White, I really don't mean you any harm. Please let me go. I'll come to your door and apologize another day. Okay? Oh, of course, if you don't want to see me again, I'll buy a plane ticket and leave tomorrow." Liam suddenly cut me off. "What's your name?" This was the second time he had asked me this question. I had no energy left for jokes and answered honestly, "Sean." Liam mulled it over for a moment, then asked unexpectedly, "Are your parents not good to you?" It's rare for someone to give their son a name like that. My muddled brain jolted. We had been apart for too long. I had forgotten how sharp he was. Lies were transparent to him. "Answer me. If I'm satisfied with your answer, I'll take you to the hospital." "They're not great." I took small, panting breaths and vaguely summarized Sean's family situation. I didn't dare go into detail. The residual memories were incomplete, and I was afraid my story wouldn't hold up under scrutiny. Liam listened intently, then changed the subject. How long have you been at White Corp? My mind went blank. Crap, I didn't know. He gave me no time to think, relentlessly continuing his interrogation. Who's your direct supervisor? Who interviewed you? Where was your last job? Why did you come to White Corp? The heat turned into a cold sweat, soaking my shirt and sticking clammily to my skin. In my current state, I couldn't focus on making sure my answers were foolproof. I could only try to change the subject. Mr. White, was there a problem with the last meeting? I'm sorry, at the time, I was having some family issues and was really upset, so I was a bit unmotivated. Oh, was that phone call from your family? Liam let out a soft laugh. You seemed pretty quick to block them. His laugh sent a pot of boiling water erupting inside me. The reaction was so intense it made my scalp tingle. I couldn't control myself. Even biting my lip couldn't hold back a moan. I wanted to cry. Just 2 sips. Did Danny use a lethal dose? I really wasn't paid off. I haven't done anything to wrong you. Not in the past, not ever. I swear. Liam looked down. You swear. I whimpered. I swear. He stared at me for a long time, then his thin lips parted. Whether you've wronged me or not is for me to decide. With that, he made a call. And then my consciousness cut out. I woke up in a hospital in a private room. The 4-bag was still half full. I calculated the time I had probably been out for about an hour. My body felt strangely off, like it was covered in a layer of damp moss. It was a bit sensitive down there. In the past, after a rough session with Liam, if I was too tired to move and didn't shower right away, I would feel this way, but my clothes were neat, my belt was buckled, and my back and legs didn't ache. It was probably an after effect. I had no experience with this. I'd never been hit with such a potent drug in my last life. After lying there for a while, I remembered I hadn't replied to Wyatt. Quickly pulled out my phone. As the screen lit up, the first thing that caught my eye, even before the screen full of missed calls, was the time. It was already 11 o'clock. That meant I had been out for at least 3 hours. A sense of unease washed over me. I had no memory of those 3 hours, no idea what I had said or done. I racked my brain, but all I got was a blank. Oh well, at least I was still alive. Just as I was about to call Wyatt back, the doorknob suddenly turned. I froze and instinctively shoved my phone under the covers and closed my eyes. The person outside couldn't get in. Patrick's hurried voice interrupted the sound of the door opening. I found the extra charge. It was Wyatt. I'll probably have to ask him about the specifics. Maybe the waiter made a mistake. The charge? I slowly remembered that I had used the old account to pay the bill. Liam had a lot of business dinners. I thought he wouldn't notice one extra charge, but not only had he noticed, he had gone to the trouble of investigating it. I know. Liam's response was faint. I told you I wouldn't use it without asking, Patrick said, sounding hurt. And you still got so mad at me. There was a moment of silence outside the door, followed by a rustling sound, like clothes rubbing together. Don't do this. We're outside. Okay, I'm easy to please. Patrick's tone became cheerful again. Chairman White said he wanted to see me this afternoon. I was too scared to go, so I've been putting it off. Will you come with me? It was quiet outside for a while before Liam finally agreed. Let's go now. The sound of their footsteps faded away. I pulled the covers over my head. My vision went black for a moment before I realized I had been holding my breath. This was somehow more heart-wrenching than seeing them embrace. The ambiguity, leaving so much to the imagination. Did they kiss? They must have at least hugged. And now they were going to meet his family together. He was about to get his family's approval and blessing. Something I had never gotten in my entire life. Patrick had gotten so easily. I always claimed to be indifferent to family ties, to not care about anyone's approval but Liam's. It was all just talk. I'm so jealous. So jealous. The 4-bag wasn't empty. I pulled out the needle, not even bothering to press on the puncture wound, and fled the hospital. The place Wyatt had arranged for me was a hotel his family owned. It had its pros and cons. The pro was that it was safe. Sean's family would never find me. The con was that he could swipe his card and come in without any warning. I had just gotten out of the shower when Wyatt walked in. I was only wearing a towel and was in the middle of blow drying my hair. I quickly threw on a robe. "Could you knock first?" His gaze shifted from my body, and his Adam's apple bobbed. "I'm the one who got the room. Why should I knock?" My hand, which was tying the belt, paused. I looked up, my brow furrowed in displeasure. "Just because I'm staying in your room, does that make me your property? Do I not deserve any dignity?" Wyatt was taken aback. Used to getting his own way, he was at a rare loss for words. After a moment, he mumbled, "Fine, fine. I'll knock before I come in next time. Whatever." I was too tired for this. There was no point in correcting him, in explaining that knocking isn't just a warning, it's a request for permission. "What do you want this late?" "You're asking me what I want." He looked thoroughly pissed off. "Weren't you going to tell me why you've changed? But then you disappeared for a whole night, not answering calls or texts. Are you messing with me?" "I wasn't ignoring you on purpose." I paused for a few seconds, deciding to hold back some of the details. "I went to the hospital." "The hospital?" Wyatt's eyes widened. His gaze swept over me, finally landing on my bruised hand. "What's wrong? Are you okay now? Why didn't you stay in the hospital? Should we get a more thorough checkup?" His concern was genuine, but the barrage of questions gave me a headache. I pinched the bridge of my nose. "Go ask your little assistant Danny how many packets of that stuff he used. I had 2 sips and passed out. Good thing you didn't drink it." Wyatt's face instantly turned red. "Oh, you really drank it? Then, he stammered for a bit. Then his expression suddenly changed, his voice tight. "You passed out. How did you get to the hospital?" I pulled the covers over myself. Someone took me." "Who?" "It's the middle of the night. I'm tired and sleepy. Can we talk about this tomorrow?" "Who?" he pressed, not backing down. Wyatt was a carefree, unrestrained guy, but he was also simple-minded and easy to fool most of the time. But in those rare moments when he couldn't be fooled, he would get completely fixated. "My ex-boss." Wyatt's voice shot up. "Liam? You were with Liam tonight. He was drunk. We just happened to run into each other. He was drunk, you were drugged, and you spent the whole night together. How many times did you do it?" "Unbelievable. Stop it. Nothing happened." I didn't want to argue with him. I put on a cold face and tried to shoo him away. "I'm really tired." "Yeah, I bet you're tired after a whole night of that." He gritted his teeth, strode forward, ripped off the covers and pinned me down. It happened so unexpectedly that I was too shocked to react in time. The loosely tied towel was pulled off, and my robe fell open, leaving only the belt as a flimsy, useless line of defense. "Wyatt, are you crazy? I told you nothing happened." "Impossible. Danny said if you don't..." He bit back the rest of his sentence and forcefully held down my legs. "Let me check you." Against his much larger frame, my struggles were useless. He held my legs apart in a humiliating position. I felt like a piece of meat on a cutting board as he inspected me. Humiliated and furious, I cursed him. "Let go of me. Do you think I'm a pet or a toy? Do you even know what the word respect means?" Wyatt ignored me. His gaze fixed on my lower body, his eyes suddenly sharp. He started rubbing my inner thigh forcefully with his thumb. The pain made me kick out at him, but he just grabbed my ankle. I looked up, the curses dying in my throat. Wyatt's eyes were red, and he was staring at me intently. "Still lying to me? What's this?" A series of red marks. They were faint and new. I was stunned for a moment, then quickly realized. "Isn't that from you just rubbing me?" It wasn't me. His voice grew quieter. The hand gripping my thigh slowly lost its strength. He looked at me, but it felt like he wasn't really seeing me.
Sean.
He had said my name many times in different tones with different emotions. Flirtatious, angry, confused. But this time, I heard a deep sense of panic in his voice, as if he was on the verge of collapse, fragile and vulnerable. He was scared. "How could you lie to me?" Wyatt collapsed on top of me, his body heavy, mumbling, "You promised you would never lie to me." The suite was decorated in a classical, palatial European style, so opulent it was almost gaudy. I stared at the intricate chandelier on the ceiling and slowly calmed down. "What else did I promise? You really have forgotten everything." His head was buried in my chest, his voice muffled. "You said you would have 365 meals with me. You also said you felt bad for taking so many gifts from me, and that for my birthday you would give me the only precious thing you owned. Sean, my birthday is almost here. Are you going to break your promise?" I closed my eyes. The light from the chandelier still lingered on my eyelids, a blurry shape in a sea of nothingness. I blinked, and it was gone. I couldn't wait until morning. "Wyatt, take me somewhere." Breaking into a cemetery in the middle of the night was a first for both of us. At first, Wyatt was sullen and silent. But as I led him higher and higher up the hill, he finally couldn't take it anymore and reached out to grab me. "Sean, what are you looking for? Can't we just go back to the car and wait until morning?" "I'm looking for a grave." "Whose?" I answered bluntly, "Mine." What? Wyatt's shout was cut short as if he was afraid of disturbing something, and he quickly lowered his voice. "Sean, don't scare me. I've been afraid of this kind of thing since I was a kid." I stopped walking. "Would you be afraid if it was someone you loved?" The cemetery was lush with greenery, and the light from the street lamps was cold and eerie, casting a pale, confused look on Wyatt's face. "I don't know." He probably really didn't know. A young master who grew up without a care in the world, who had never experienced loss, who had never truly loved someone. "Wyatt, Sean must have been very envious of you." Wyatt froze, his brow slowly furrowing. "Envious of what? Why are you talking like this?" I continued on my own. He wasn't born out of love. In his 20-something years of life, he was never loved by anyone. His family treated him as a spare organ for his brother. When they found out he wasn't a match, they forced him to become a money-making machine. He stumbled through life, not a single day lived for himself. And then he met you. Wyatt tried to interrupt several times, but he never managed to get a word out. In the end, he closed his mouth and watched me in silence. Do you know why he was so calm the day he ran into you? Because he knew he could never afford to pay for the damages. Even if you had asked for his life right then and there, he would have said thank you. But you didn't. You even bought him dinner. You bought him many dinners. You gave him many gifts. How could something so good happen in this world? He was flattered and anxious, not knowing how to repay you. He saved your contact as creditor, set you as a special contact, and waited for your messages every day. Wyatt, you were the only sweet thing he had ever tasted in all his bitter years. Wyatt's expression was grave. He wasn't so naive as to think this was a confession of love. He was uneasy, his lips pressed together so tightly they turned white. But I was at ease, my voice calm, my expression natural. A person in extreme pain can't make a sound. The reason I can talk to you about these things so calmly is because I'm not Sean. Wyatt's pupils constricted. His mouth hung open as he forced out a raw, broken sound. "Sean, don't joke around." I just looked at him and calmly repeated the truth I had already told him once before. "Sean is dead." This time, the words came out smoothly without any obstruction. "Sean has probably started a new life by now. He's been reborn into a good family that loves their children, just as he wished. Growing up without a care in the world, just like Wyatt." Wyatt stood frozen in place for a long time, then shook his head, his voice trembling. "Don't curse yourself like that, Sean. You already know I like you, that I was going to confess. Is this your way of rejecting me?" He touched my face. His palm was cold, his fingertips trembling. "You can just say it. I won't blame you. I won't force you. It's true that I'm telling you this to reject you. I'm very different from Sean." I took a subtle step back, leaving his hand hanging in mid-air. "You've already noticed, haven't you?" The cemetery was silent. It seemed even the wind had gone around this hill. Then, "Who are you?" The clouds blocking the moon drifted away, and moonlight poured down, slowly brightening our surroundings. He saw the tombstone in front of us. "Stella." "And the one who erected it, Liam White. We've never met, but your circle has probably mentioned me." He clearly didn't believe in this kind of supernatural stuff, so I briefly explained the rebirth. He didn't seem to hear a word of it. His face was ashen as he stared at the tombstone. Liam, it's him again. He gritted his teeth. I've heard for a while that he was messing with some shady stuff, muttering about you coming back. You two killed Sean, didn't you? Liam was so sure I would come back? I was dazed for a moment. It must have been in the first couple of years. Right after I sent him the dream, when he hadn't moved on from me yet. Anyway, it was all in the past. I looked up at the man in front of me, his face a mask of bunkoi, his veins bulging. He roared at me, "You're a cuckoo in his nest. Give me back my Sean, you bastard." The sound carried far, startling birds from their roosts in the distance. Killed him? The ones who killed him were his endlessly demanding family. His boss who treated him like a doormat and kept piling on work, a life with no hope, and, Wyatt, don't you know what he wanted to give you? The only precious thing he had was, I pressed my lips together and let out a soft laugh. I hadn't even said anything, but Wyatt looked as if all the strength had been drained from him. He instantly deflated. He knew perfectly well, but back then he looked down on it, scorned it. Coming from a poor, scrawny, weak man, his heart. Wyatt stumbled down the mountain. I sat in front of my own grave, hugging my knees, and stayed there until dawn. After the sun rose, everything around me seemed to come alive, the cold, eerie feeling gone. The name carved on the stone was still bright, not faded at all. I reached out to touch it, and suddenly heard footsteps behind me. "Hey, what are you doing?" I turned my head. It was the cemetery groundskeeper. He looked at me suspiciously. Trying to steal something. It was a little funny. What was there to steal in a cemetery? I pushed myself up from my knees, but then I saw him place a food container in front of my grave. "What's that?" "Sweet tapioca soup." My sleep-deprived brain was working slowly. "Sweet tapioca soup." "Yeah." He impatiently opened the lid and sniffed it. "Good, it hasn't gone bad." My brain still wasn't catching up. "What do you mean?" He casually took a picture and put the container away again. Seeing me still standing there, he tapped the name Liam White on the stone. "See this? This big boss wants fresh offerings every day. When he's too busy, he pays me to do it." I was stunned. "Every day?" "Yeah, never seen anything like it. Have you? Rich people have so many demands." My thoughts were a mess. So many ideas flashed through my mind, but I couldn't grasp any of them. Finally, I pointed at the food container in his hand. "Can I eat that?" "Huh? Bro, don't do that. This has been sitting here for days. You'll get sick. Don't you change it every day?" "Well, he hasn't had time lately, so I've been slacking off a bit, saving some money. The person's dead anyway. It's not like they can taste the difference. It's all just for show, to make the living feel better." I was silent. He probably realized his corner cutting was a bit shady and quickly tried to cover for himself. "It's cold now, so it's fine for a few days. I wouldn't dare slack off in the summer. I definitely have to buy fresh fruit juice then." Seeing me still silent, he asked again, "You look so young. How did you end up homeless? If you're really hungry, you can come have a bite with me." I copied him, tapping my finger on the name Stella G. That's me, the person herself. Back at the hotel, I slept like the dead. I woke up in the evening to the last rays of the setting sun, a golden yellow, and suddenly had a craving for sweet soup. I slowly got out of bed. I opened Wyatt's chat several times, but he hadn't replied to any of my messages. I had returned his money and thanked him for his help. I promised to find a job and move out within a month. I was about to send another message, reminding him to accept the transfer, but I deleted it halfway through. Forget it. Give him some time. I didn't go to the dessert shop by the high school, but found one nearby and sat down. As I slowly ate, I thought about what had happened that morning. Why was Liam doing all this? Can a person truly love someone new while still deeply mourning someone old? I finished the bowl of soup without finding an answer. I wandered the streets for a while. A young couple came out of a movie theater, the girl clinging to her boyfriend's arm, whining, "Oh my God, that last part was so scary. I'm gonna have nightmares tonight." The boy chuckled. "Then let's just not sleep tonight." They walked away, laughing. I stopped in my tracks. He was probably doing it to comfort my restless soul, to stop his own nightmares. I wasn't really convinced, but I had to find a reason to stop myself from going to him. I miss him so much. I want to throw everything away and take him back. So what if he has nightmares? We could just have them together all night and not sleep. I shook my head, trying to get rid of the crazy thought. I took 2 steps, and my head suddenly buzzed. I slowly came to a stop. There was a huge floor-to-ceiling window next to me. When the lights inside dimmed, it became a mirror. It reflected me. It also reflected the 3 people across the street, staring at me. I belatedly realized they had been in the dessert shop with me. My heart clenched and I took off running. The hotel was some distance away. The streets were sparse, and I couldn't see a single taxi. I pulled out my phone and called Wyatt. It rang for 5 seconds, then was declined. I called again. It went straight to voicemail. Crap. Just as I was about to call Danny, my phone slipped from my grasp. Everything went into slow motion. It wasn't until I hit the ground that the dull pain in my back exploded. The pain made my ears ring and my vision blur. Got him. A man behind me whistled. Sean's father had taken out a loan from loan sharks. He couldn't find me, but they had their ways. It was an interesting method. All the abducted children in the world should try taking out loans and not paying them back. The loan sharks would always find their biological parents. But this really wasn't the time for gallows humor. I was pinned in a dark alley, struggling to speak. Go after the person who borrowed the money. It has nothing to do with me. The man in front of me sneered, unlocked his phone, and played a video. Sean's father, his face bruised and swollen, slurred his words, blood frothing from his missing teeth. I really don't have any money. Go find my son's brother. He has money. A man's voice from off-screen asked, what if he doesn't have money either? Then sell his kidneys, sell his blood. He can be turned into money. Do whatever you want with him. The last sentence echoed in the alley. I stared at the screen and let out a dry laugh. What the hell are you laughing at? A slap sent my head spinning. I rubbed my stinging cheek and laughed again. My son's brother. Ha ha ha, don't you think that's funny? They didn't think it was funny. My smile slowly faded. I can't die here. My rebirth was the result of my persistence, Nugget's help, and Sean's sacrifice. I had fought so hard for it. How much? 160,000. Okay, the money Wyatt transferred me would cover it. He wasn't talking to me right now, so he hadn't accepted the transfer. It would probably be returned automatically. I just had to wait. With interest, 320,000. We need it tonight. Crap. I took a deep breath, trying to calm down. Let me make a call. What are you trying to do? Don't play any tricks. I'm trying to borrow money, what do you think? My tone was a little off and I got another slap across the face. Wyatt's phone was still off. I bit my lip and called Danny. The call connected, and I felt a glimmer of hope. But before I could say anything, a cold voice came from the other end. Sean, the boss is hurt. Can you please stop calling? Hurt? It's all your fault. Danny was sticking up for his boss, his tone vicious. You're heartless. The call was disconnected again. I hadn't even had a chance to explain my situation, but from the looks of it, Danny wouldn't have helped me anyway. Keep calling, you bastard. He won't pick up again. Then keep calling until he does. If you can't get the money, you know what will happen. There was no one else to call. Sean had no other contacts. As for me, it had been 5 years. There was no way I could remember my old friend's numbers. Except for Liam. I knew his number by heart. Should I call him? Would he answer? I had left the hospital without a word. He probably hated me even more now. But if this really was the end of my second life, I wanted to hear his voice one last time. The phone only rang twice. He picked up. He didn't say anything. I swallowed nervously, suddenly unsure what to call him. After a moment of hesitation, before I could even get out Mr. White, he suddenly asked, "Where are you?" I froze and looked at the man in front of me. He just gave me 2 words, borrow it. Liam answered immediately, without a hint of hesitation. Okay, don't touch him. I was completely stunned. Liam. The call screen only showed a cold, impersonal number and the call duration. But it felt like I could see him through the screen. I could see us. I could see him standing in the doorway, saying goodbye as I, sleepy-eyed, saw him off to work. The kiss on my cheek would always stray to my lips, turning into a deep, irresistible kiss. In the end, amidst my complaints, he would laugh and kiss my earlobe. Wait for me to come back. I could see him having to temporarily leave my hospital room to get me food or medicine, to wash my clothes, to consult with the doctor, or to pray to some god. His eyes would be full of longing, his voice pleading. Wait for me to come back. The wind howled through the alley. Liam's voice, processed by the phone, had a timeless quality. It overlapped with countless past moments. Wait for me. Stella, did those 2 slaps kill me? Was I still in the hotel, dreaming this beautiful dream? But when Liam rushed over, panting, he told me I was still alive, that this wasn't a dream. He revealed his identity, and he brought the money. There's one condition. The men recognized that Liam was someone important, and their posture became more respectful. Please go ahead. From now on, you are not to bother him about his family's affairs. They were hired thugs, but they knew how to read a situation. Faced with a powerful figure who could be a source of profit, they quickly softened their stance. No problem, but the lesson his family deserves you will not hold back on. The men exchanged glances and replied again, of course, no problem. Even after the alley was empty except for me and Liam, I was still standing there, dazed. A warm touch on my cheek. Liam frowned and gently stroked it. Damn it, why didn't you tell me you were hit? I didn't dare move. Mr. White, Liam's frown deepened. What did you call me? I didn't dare to speak. Weren't you so good at cursing, so good at talking? Cat got your tongue, he scoffed. Not only have you gone mute, you've also become a real bastard. You use me and run. I've been looking for you for a day and a night. That Wyatt guy refused to tell me where you were. Are you trying to worry me to death? My head was a mess. What was he talking about? System error. I couldn't process any of it. I watched his lips move and only thought about how kissable they were. Could I kiss him? Liam noticed my gaze, stopped talking, and pressed his lips together. Let's get in the car first. Your face is all swollen. I didn't move. He let out a barely audible sigh, lifted my chin, and leaned in to kiss me. My mind went completely blank. I instinctively pushed him away while simultaneously responding to his kiss. And no, you have a boyfriend. Liam's body tensed, and he pulled back slightly. He must have rushed here. Under his black coat, I could see the collar of his pajamas, wrinkled and bunched up. Stella, I never signed your resignation form, and I never signed my boyfriend's resignation form either. I told you I only want you. Liam was driving his old silver gray car. Seeing me dazed, he reached over and opened the passenger door. Forgot how to open a door. My voice was soft. I thought you got a new one. I don't want anyone else sitting in it, so I usually don't drive it. He took a bottle of water from the car's mini fridge. I took it, twisted it open, and took a sip. Liam froze for a moment, then couldn't help but smile. I was a little flustered. I can't drink this. You can. He took out another bottle and gently pressed it against my swollen cheek. Does it hurt? He immediately pulled it away. Does it hurt anywhere else? Let me see. I shook my head. I don't know. I don't know. My mind is a mess. What's happening right now? What happened? Why did he recognize me? What's his relationship with Patrick? The person I've been longing for is right in front of me. The touches, hugs, and kisses I've craved have all come true, but I'm afraid to ask anything. A coward, when faced with happiness, only feels fear, terrified that it will shatter at the slightest touch. Liam leaned over and kissed the top of my head. It's okay. We'll go to the hospital first. We'll take it slow. He buckled my seatbelt for me and got into the driver's seat. I turned my head and saw the little gourd charm hanging from the rearview mirror. It was about the size of a thumb. We had picked it out at a night market together. Everything in the car was the same, only the color of the charm had deepened. 5 years had left their mark after all. Liam noticed my staring but was considerate enough not to ask. After a checkup at the hospital, he said he wanted to take me home. Home. This time, I couldn't help but ask, "Didn't you sell it?" When I was sick, we were burning through money every day. Liam's company was having cash flow problems. He emptied his savings, mortgaged and sold our house, and tried every possible way to raise money, even though it all ended up being for nothing. I bought it back. When he opened the door, I felt like I had gone back 5 years. Nothing had changed. Everything was back. But I stood at the doorway, unable to move. Liam turned around, silhouetted against the light, his expression unreadable. I looked down. I'm a little scared. I paused, then added softly, "This doesn't feel real." Liam didn't say anything. After a long time, he reached out and turned off the light. The world went dark, except for the glow of the elevator button. All I could see were hazy outlines, a heartbeat, body heat, and the faint, cool scent of men's cologne approached. I was pulled into a warm, strong embrace. "Don't think about anything right now." He leaned down and kissed me, from my forehead to my chin. He took my hand and guided it from his face to his chest. "Just feel me. Am I real?" The warmth under my fingertips was a gift from him. No longer stolen in a rush, worried about being interrupted, worried about Liam waking up. I cupped his face and buried my head in his neck. I took a deep breath. "Liam." His body trembled slightly, then he hugged me back tightly. "Yeah. I'm back. Yeah. You're home." The furniture in the house was exactly as it had been. Everything was in pairs, but showed signs of only one person's use. I mustered up my courage. "So, Patrick." Liam, holding a spatula, turned his head. "What?" My courage evaporated like the steam from the pot. I was so scared of what Liam might say. What if he wanted both of us? What if Patrick was his public life and I was his private one, him by day and me by night? Even worse, what if he lied to me to maintain the status quo? Because right now, I would believe anything he said. If he just cooed, "Baby, I only love you," I would obediently turn a blind eye and pretend nothing was wrong. Never mind." He reached over and turned off the range hood. "No mumbling aloud unless we're in bed." I froze for a second, my face flushing red. "You? When did you recognize me?" "In the lounge when you were feeding me the hangover soup." So that's where I slipped up. No wonder he started interrogating me then. Remembering the 3 hours I'd blacked out, I felt a little awkward. "How long did you question me?" What did I say? Not long. I only asked one question. "I asked you what your name was." "Oh, okay." My unconscious answer must have been based on my true memories. That's when he must have been completely sure. But Liam's gaze was meaningful, making my heart pound. "What did I say?" He smirked. "You said, 'Cut the crap. Get on your knees and worship me first.'" My eyes widened. Huh? He had to be kidding. But his expression didn't look like he was lying. I stammered, and then. He suddenly started unbuttoning his shirt, slowly revealing his right shoulder. On his fair, firm shoulder was a patch of purple bruising. Someone spent 2 hours with their foot on my shoulder, grabbing my hair while they vented. I was so shocked I couldn't say a word. Dumbfounded. A completely unexpected turn of events. No wonder when I woke up, I felt a little. Of course, I don't blame you. The car was too small, that's my fault. I was out of practice, that's my fault too. I was blushing so hard I felt like even my hair was on fire. I instinctively tried to argue. "So you didn't even confirm if I was Stella before you did that with me? What if you were wrong?" "I wouldn't be wrong." Liam took 2 steps closer, leaning in to meet my gaze. "Besides you, who else would torture me like that?" The words just tumbled out of my mouth. "Then what about Patrick?" We both froze for a moment after I said it. The steamy, ambiguous atmosphere instantly dissipated. I came back to my senses. Torture. Nightmare. I had actually been bothered by that all along. More than seeing Liam with someone else, I was bothered by him calling me his nightmare. Was loving me that painful? Liam was silent for a long time. Then he didn't deny it. "Stella, loving someone is always painful." I lowered my head, My thoughts a tangled mess again. The raw emotions had become a knot in my chest, twisting painfully. I couldn't understand. Was the point of my rebirth just for him to continue to suffer, to keep having nightmares, to stay in pain? Was that what he wanted? All these years, I've been constantly insecure. Liam's voice was calm. I looked up and met his deep, dark eyes. I was afraid that you were unhappy with me, that you felt it wasn't worth it. I habitually saw every man around you as a rival, terrified that one day you would suddenly realize I wasn't all that and fall for someone else. I was always wondering if you were eating well, sleeping well, if your work was going well, if you were just performing in bed or if you were actually enjoying it. Luckily, we loved each other. Your reassurances were my painkiller. You answered me over and over again, patiently telling me you were happy, that everything was fine, that you felt good. But then you were gone, and there was no one to answer those insecurities anymore. All I could do was replay every detail of our past, over and over, trying to find some proof that you didn't regret it. Stella, I couldn't find any. After you were gone, every day was agony. The words hung in the air. The kitchen fell silent. No one spoke. The noodles had boiled dry, and a burnt smell filled the air. Liam turned and shut off the stove, dumping the blackened mess from the pot. A few charred noodles stuck to the bottom. The faucet ran, washing them away. I moved and wrapped my arms around him from behind. Liam, I was always happy with you. Liam said he would explain everything about Patrick once it was all settled. I trusted him and didn't press for details. His pain just took on a new form. How could I have taken so long to recognize you? You were full of holes and I was suspicious, but I never dug deeper. If you had just told me earlier, I wouldn't have been so cold to you, I wouldn't have been so rough. And I wouldn't have let you stay with Wyatt for so long. He likes you, doesn't he? That night at the banquet, if you hadn't gone into the wrong room, were you going to? With him, he was like a broken record, mumbling about it at dinner, in bed, even when we were in the middle of things. I could have made excuses for him. Something about the crisis at White Corp distracting him, that he didn't know Sean so he didn't see the contrast in personality, that I was emotionally unstable after my rebirth, but I didn't, because I was also pretty resentful about it. I wasn't going to let my suffering go unacknowledged. Halfway through, I let out a sudden whine. It doesn't feel good. I don't feel anything. Liam immediately stopped, his face tense. He turned my face toward him, kissing me over and over, changing positions and working so hard that sweat beaded on his forehead. How about now? I suppressed the rising tide of pleasure and said flatly, it's just, okay. Liam panicked. He was like a job applicant in the final interview who sees his chances slipping away, frantically pulling out every trick in the book. Now? Stella, do you feel anything now? At first, I could still manage a secret smile in the crook of my arm. But soon, I couldn't smile anymore. Liam, yes, I feel it, it's good. You can stop. My pleas for mercy were misinterpreted as me giving him an out. Liam didn't believe me at all. You don't have to worry about my ego, Stella. Your pleasure is the most important thing. After a brief respite, I heard him on the phone. Yeah, just leave it at the door. I groggily opened my eyes. What did you order? He didn't have time to answer. He got up, hastily wrapped a towel around his waist and went out. When he came back, he was holding a glass of water and was pressing a little blue pill out of a blister pack. My eyes shot open. Liam, are you crazy? Liam's Adam's apple bobbed. He drank so fast that water dribbled from the corner of his mouth onto my stomach. It was like a tidal wave crashing over me. I shivered, alarms blaring in my head. In a panic, I scrambled to get away, crawling on my hands and knees. I didn't get far before he grabbed my ankle and dragged me back. His hot body pressed down on me from behind. I turned my head to protest, but his kiss sealed my lips. The next second, I felt something being pushed against my tongue. A bitter, half of a pill. Let's be crazy together. I didn't open my eyes again until the next afternoon. I stared at the ceiling for a long time. The door opened, and a refreshed-looking Liam placed a set of clean clothes on the end of the bed. You're awake? Get up and eat something. I shifted my gaze to him. He pressed his lips together and walked over, braving my resentful stare. He gently stroked my hair. What you said at the end, was it true? You weren't just trying to placate me? I had no memory of what I said at the end. It was either begging for mercy or begging for mercy. You said, "Husband, you're so… Oh God, I can't hold it."
I'm gonna.
I closed my eyes and slowly buried my burning face in the covers. Yeah, it was true. If I kept being stubborn, I would probably be so tired my soul would leave my body again. The crossing was hard, but at least I didn't have to carry this heavy body. My breath hitched. An orange figure floated into my mind. I threw off the covers. "Liam, can I see your cousin again?" Liam arranged a small family dinner at his cousin's house. The three of us plus a cat. So it was him. No wonder I had that strange dream about an orange cat. His cousin stared at the bubbling hot pot in front of her, a little lost in thought. Beside her, the golden British shorthair, now as round as a gas canister, was climbing on her lap, pawing at her chopsticks. She looked down and laughed, then cooked a slice of beef for the cat in the plain water pot. She blew on it until it was cool before placing it in her palm for him to eat. Seeing this, I felt a little dazed. The owner cooking meat for the cat during hot pot. Nugget had told me about this countless times. Every movement, every detail, he had described it all so clearly. Couldn't believe it. He was never the star of the show. Nothing he had described had ever belonged to him. The kisses and hugs weren't his. The treats and canned food weren't his. Even the name Nugget wasn't his. He wanted to be loved so badly. So he imagined himself as Nugget. Yesterday, after I told Liam about Nugget, he had frowned. "Are you sure? She's never had an orange cat." Never had one, but she had saved one. His cousin had found him, half frozen, under the ginkgo tree and took him to a pet shop to be treated. After he recovered, she even found him a new home. But the young woman who adopted him got pregnant unexpectedly, and her mother-in-law threw the cat out behind her back. And so he ended up back under the ginkgo tree. He found his way to the cousin's yard. I used to see a big orange cat when I was playing with Nugget, but he would always run away when I opened the door. I never thought it was him. She sighed with a hint of regret. I should have kept him. I glanced out the window. The weather was nice. Back then, he must have been hiding in some corner, watching the warm scene inside. Such a silly cat. He probably only realized after he sent the dream that it was all just a fantasy he had woven for himself. No one was waiting for him. No one had ever made him any promises. He had eagerly entered his beloved owner's dream, only to be met with a confused, "Whose cat are you?" He must have been so embarrassed that he couldn't even lift his head at the very end. Liam squeezed my hand under the table. I looked up and saw the worry in his eyes. I wasn't actually that sad, but there was a lingering, sour ache in my heart that I couldn't shake. A sense of loss. On the way home, Liam took a call, his expression turning serious. I guessed it was about work and waved him off, telling him to go. I wandered over to a nearby park. I saw the ginkgo tree, that little liar. There were no leaves at this time of year. I sat for a while, imagining some fated encounter. But of course, nothing happened. Just the wind whistling by. Just as I was about to get home, Wyatt sent me a message. "Meet up? The hotel room is still available. You can come over anytime." I hesitated, then replied, "I can meet, but I'll pick the place." I ended up choosing a coffee shop across the street from my apartment, with a floor-to-ceiling window that looked out onto the entrance of the complex. He looked thinner, and he carried himself with a new sense of maturity. "What should I call you now?" I took a sip of my coffee. "Whatever you want, but I'm going to change my name soon." His hand paused. "To Stella." "I haven't decided what to change it to. The name Sean is just too cruel. No one is born to be a sacrifice for someone else." Wyatt was stunned for a moment, his expression hardening. "I'm sorry for being so condescending before. I didn't want to get into all that. What's up?" He looked at me, then down at his coffee, stirring it. He hesitated several times, on the verge of speaking. Just as my patience was running out, he finally stammered, "Sean, I want to know, if I had confessed to you earlier, would you have said yes?" "What do you mean by earlier?" He pressed his lips together. That day you called, asking if I wanted you. When I was reborn, the memories in this body were already fragmented. I had no recollection of what he was talking about now. I was at a business dinner. Everyone around me was laughing at me, saying I was being pursued by some broke loser who didn't know his place. I laughed along with them, but I didn't want to. Really, I didn't think it was funny at all. I wanted you. If I had been honest back then, would you still have left? I leaned back. The leather of the sofa was cold. Across the table, Wyatt's eyelashes were wet. He looked straight at me. What answer do you want to hear? He choked on his words. The truth is, we both knew. Sean's departure wasn't caused by any single person. It was many people, many burdens. Maybe Wyatt's laughter was the last straw. Maybe it wasn't. It didn't matter. He had been overwhelmed for a long time. Today's my birthday. Can you grant me one last wish? When I didn't refuse, he cautiously continued, in Sean's voice, can you say, I like you to me? A little surprised. Since it was his birthday wish, I put down my coffee cup, smiled at him, and as he waited in tense anticipation, I said cheerfully, Happy birthday. A wish spoken aloud won't come true. Wyatt froze, his tense shoulders slumping in defeat. Thanks. His voice was as soft as a mosquito's buzz, dissipating into the air. When I got up to leave, I noticed someone standing outside the window. Liam, his hands in his coat pockets, was watching us with a blank expression. My throat was dry from explaining, but he still wouldn't say a word. Fine. I clammed up too. If he didn't want to talk, then whatever. I opened my laptop and started looking up recent news about White Corp. Before he left, Wyatt had seen Liam and whispered a warning to me. He's about to run White Corp into the ground. You should tell him to take it easy. They're a bunch of old foxes. They're not going to let him get away clean. I skimmed a few articles, but it was giving me a headache. I closed the laptop and got straight to the point. How far did things go with you and Patrick? Liam, who had been frowning and scrolling through his phone, jerked his head up, a look of astonishment on his face. You're turning this on me? Oh, so you can talk. I thought you'd gone mute. Wyatt and I did nothing. But you two? Publicly embracing and announcing your relationship at the company. Whispering sweet nothings. Making promises. We only hugged that one time. I never touched him again after that. And the hug wasn't what you think. It was just to lure him into a trap. He stopped himself mid-sentence. Too late. I immediately seized on the keyword. What trap? After asking, I remembered a financial news brief I had just read. Oh, you tricked him into becoming the legal representative of a subsidiary and used his identity to get a loan guarantee. Are you trying to kill him? Stella. He won't die. He'll just be in there for a few years. Why? Just because he tried to break us up behind my back. Liam pinched the bridge of his nose and put down his phone. Because he switched your medication. My illness was manageable in the early stages, but after starting treatment, it worsened dramatically. We went down so many wrong paths, wasted so much time, before we finally discovered that there was a problem with the targeted therapy drugs I was taking. Although it wasn't the direct cause of my death, it definitely sped up the process. The White family's attitude was ambiguous. They just said I deserved it. Then they secretly destroyed all the evidence. There was no way to investigate, no way to press charges. Stella, on this one thing, don't try to talk me out of it. Who's trying to talk you out of it? I clenched my fists. Damn it. Let's destroy him. The long speech Liam had prepared got stuck in his throat. After a moment, he couldn't help but laugh. I sat on his lap and wrapped my arms around his neck. But I'm also worried. Worried about who? You. Me? Liam grabbed my waist. You should be worried about yourself first. How many words did you say to Wyatt today? I'm counting one time for each word. By the time the new ginkgo leaves sprouted, White Corp had fallen. Bankruptcy, acquisition, the process was incredibly fast. The new company was called Serendipity Inc. Wyatt's comment was so cheesy. I didn't dare text him back, so I just spammed him with angry emojis. Patrick was jailed for financial crimes. By the time he gets out, the ginkgo leaves will have turned yellow 5 times. Some people thought Liam was a genius with explosive luck. managing to completely rebrand the city's leading enterprise. Only I knew how long he had been meticulously planning this long-awaited takedown. When the ginkgo leaves turned yellow, I went to the tree every day. But I still didn't encounter anything. Liam said maybe we had already met. The ginkgo fruit that fell on my head, the sparrow that pooped on my shoulder, the ant that crawled up my leg. Is that you? I petted a passing golden retriever. Its owner was pulling on its leash, but couldn't stop its enthusiastic, tail-wagging lunge toward me. Liam pulled me away. Goldens are like that with everyone. We're going to be late. Our company's biggest partner had just had a baby boy, and we were rushing to his 100-day party. I couldn't help but look back at the golden retriever and sigh. I turned back and took Liam's hand. Waiting can feel hopeless, but I also firmly believe that if you just keep waiting, you will meet again. The long-awaited reunion, I'm sure, will happen at just the right time.